afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming to the special meeting March 15th for Geauga Public Health. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Right here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll turn it down. Okay, look, I'm not sure if everybody has the agenda, but we are going to rearrange the agenda and go with new business first. The first thing we want to talk about is for sale of property program. We have our attorney here, Mr. Brian Kostura, if he could give us an update.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. As it relates to the FSOP program, I'm not quite sure where you want me to stand so I can address everyone here.
Brian, if you want to go by the TV, that way his camera should be close to, or that TV. Sorry.
This will work?
Yeah, sorry.
All right, I don't want everybody's back to me. So Geauga County Board of Health repealed the for sale of property evaluation known as FSOP in June of 2022. The purpose was to institute a more encompassing program mandated by the state, also known as the Operations and Maintenance Program, which didn't exist in Geauga County prior to that time. There were questions raised about having both the O&M program and the legacy FSOP program issues in place at the same time for enforcement purposes. So it was requested that I approach the Geauga County Geauga County Prosecutor's Office and get a legal opinion as to whether or not we could do this all at the same time. Well, we've had multiple discussions with him, and he is in the process of putting together a legal opinion as it relates to the enforcement of both the FSOP program, the O&M program, but it's just not quite done yet because there's a lot of things to kind of go through and to weigh. But that being said, I would recommend, based upon where we're at in the program, trying to get O&M up and moving and trying to deal with the FSOP program as where it stands right now with all the legacy cases. Because it is administrative in nature and all we're dealing with is an administrative issue, it would be my recommendation to the board that you move to simply allow our administrator, Mr. Lickey in this case, to handle all the management and enforcement actions and or furtherance of the FSOP program, consistent with whatever legal opinion comes out of the Geauga County Prosecutor's Office. This way, this board can focus on something that's more important, which is the implementation and execution of the O&M program, which is still a fledgling program and really needs a lot more frankly, focus. And because this is only administrative in nature, you could turn that all over to Mr. Lickey and he could move forward with it. That would be my recommendation to the board as it relates to FSOP, but I will leave that to you. Is there anything further questions that you have?
I have a question.
Does the board have any questions from regarding this? I think we've all we're all pretty familiar with it, and so do we think we want to take Mr. Kostura's recommendation and make a motion to hand this to let Adam Lickey handle the rest of this?
The administration of it all.
Is everybody?
I move that.
Second. Okay, so we have a motion, so we have a second. So does everybody understand what the motion was?
Yes. I'm not quite sure I understand what the motion was, frankly.
So basically, the motion, I think, is moved to authorize GPH administrator to manage and address any issues with the for sale of property valuation program, also known as FSOP. And it's also in section 3701-29-25 of the Geauga County Household Sewage Township System Regulations. consistent with the legal office to be Geauga County Prosecutor's Office. Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Can we do a roll call vote? Dr. Rood?
Yes.
Mrs. Brakey?
Yes.
Mrs. Roman?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Abstain.
And Mr. Moreno, yes. Okay, that one passes, thank you. Okay, the next thing on the agenda we'd like to discuss is House Bill 110. The review of that, again, we're gonna have to ask Mr. Costura to give us an update regarding that.
Thank you. I believe it was about 3 weeks ago, the board made a notice that in a review of its records, it determined that there may have been a period of time in which businesses and groups with semi-public sewage treatment systems may have paid for a permit and an inspection had not been completed. At that point, the board realized, of course, this could be an issue, and they came to me and asked if we would conduct an audit of the program. I just want to give you basically an update as to where we are on that audit. We've gone through the physical files. There were roughly 800 physical files that we have gone through. I will tell you that they were in various states of order. Some of them were very well organized and some of them were not. And some of them contained the information that we hoped they contained, including applications for permits and the fees associated with it, and then, of course, the inspection reports, and some of them did not. So we are still kind of trying to cross-reference those with the other 3 databases that we're going through. We went through database number 1, and that basically had, frankly, a lot of the inspections from 2022 and 23. Those were all up to date, and those actually were consistent with what was the permits that were paid for and the correlating inspections. So we were in good shape on those. Database number 2, frankly, is a lot more voluminous, and in some instances, not in great shape as it relates to organization. That one contained scanned images, including complete and incomplete applications, fees paid, duplicate entries, and frankly, a lot of what we're going through, we're finding some of the addresses are, frankly, in the wrong addresses. So some of the properties have been miscued. So we're now going through, trying to pull those out and put them in the right spot so that we can provide the most accurate information possible to the board. And then finally, we came to learn, we have reason to believe that there may have been other information on GPH servers that may have shown that there were inspections done, but they didn't correlate necessarily to the payments that were received. So we have asked IT here at Geauga County, so the ADP group, to run a full scan of all of the GPH servers so that we can confirm with the information that we have in the hard copy files, database 1 and database 2, to provide you guys a full and accurate review of not only what was sent in by all of the folks with the semi-public systems and paid their fees, but whether or not the inspection was conducted. So I guess in summary, what we're looking at is it's still going to take us more time. It's actually a lot bigger job than we initially expected because of having to go through the additional server and the state of basically database 2. It doesn't quite jive with everything else. Now, we are making progress, and I did meet with our team this morning, and we are moving this ball forward. So as soon as we have a full report, we will issue findings of fact and recommendations for the future. We will provide that to the board for appropriate action. Outside of your questions, that's all I have.
So I guess I have a question. So is there do you have a time frame on when you think this will be completed, or is it still pretty fluid?
I think the review of database number 2 will be complete by, I would say, end of next week. As it relates to a full server review by the ADP department, we're still working with them on getting that done because, frankly, it is one of those things that you can't run during the day. It only can be run at night because otherwise it slows down the system for everyone. And so it's an issue of timing.
And do we have an idea of how long are, so the public knows, how far back are we looking? Are we looking 6 months, 90 days, 3 years?
Yeah, right now, we're all the way back to 2010. And so this has not been one of those things where it's just a couple of months or a couple of years. Right now, we're all the way back to 2010, and I will tell you that what we're finding so far is that the application process and inspection process between the 2010 and 2015 period has been a little bit spotty, and that's why we're trying to get confirmation of anything else that could be on the GPH servers, because we don't want to miss something. You know, the fact of the matter is, it's a full audit, and it's going to take time, and we want to do it right.
I guess the last question I have, this will probably be for Mr. Lark, is when was House Bill 110 implemented? Do you know what year it was?
When EPA started it?
When they wanted the local counties to start handling it?
I believe it's probably more than 25 to 30 years ago.
Everybody hear that?
No.
More than 25 to 30 years. I want to guess 1985, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was.
Ashley, were you born then?
Pardon me?
I'm just asking if Ashley was born when. The answer is no.
No.
And I can tell you, in the initial review, when you start taking a look at it, we do have inspections and we do have payments through, you know, the mid-2000s into the latter 2000s. But again, we're still working through the process, so I can't give you a definitive answer as to where we're at.
How is it that stuff is in database 1 and what's in database 2? Help me understand those two databases.
Yeah, I would like to understand those two databases too. I will tell you that the database 1 was a lot smaller. Database 2 has been much more voluminous. And what is included in it. It appears that database 2 was frankly a scan job of multiple documents that were sent in and then imaged into this program. And so it's separated by address. And so in some of the addresses you might have, 10 or 15 pieces of paper, some inspection, some not, but it related to the property itself. In others, depending upon what's been going on at the address itself, there could be hundreds of pages that we're sifting through. And so, and it's not consistent because in some points in time, as we're going through it, we're noticing that there may be an alternate address that's in there. So it might be the neighbor's address, or it might be a transposed address. So we're trying to figure it out as we go to make sure that of the 700 pages that are in, XYZ address is actually all the pages that are supposed to be there.
Okay, but did I hear correctly that 2022 and 2023 to date all seem to be
Those seem to be great.
clean?
We look clean in those areas. It's prior to that date that it's more sporadic.
Any other questions from the board?
Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the update, Mr. Costura. Okay, so I'm not sure if everybody got a copy of this cross-jurisdictional cooperative agreement. It was put on our website, I think, yesterday. But anyway, there are extra copies if some of you need them. So that is going to be the next thing that we're going to discuss. Before we get into that, I would just like to say that I am really very, very appreciative of this board for the many. I was talking to one board member, and I think she said that they had like 20 meetings since November. So for some of the people in public think we haven't had much time to redo this. I will tell you that at the end of November, when we were notified that this contract was changing, we have been working nonstop. I mean, we've had, and I feel bad for our newest board member, Dr. Rude. I think he was thinking that we meet once a month, and you come here, you do a few things, and you go home. And unfortunately, I think he's been we've been meeting weekly almost, and so I really want to thank him, thank everybody for all that they have done. And we haven't just, looked at this agreement with Lake, we've checked with, surrounding counties, and nobody, nobody was really capable of what we were looking to do. And, so with that being said, and the other thing was, we did put out, an ad to get, for new administrator and a new environmental health director when we were notified that the contract was ending. We have gotten some applicants, but due to financials and stuff like that, we determined that truthfully, Geauga Public Health cannot afford to hire their own. So that was why we came, to try to come up with an agreement that is helpful for Geauga Public Health as well as Lake County. So I guess we can talk about the contract. Everybody have a chance to read it, hopefully.
Yeah,
Lynn and I have some things we wanna.
Carolyn and I have some points
Okay.
of discussion, so,
Let's go first.
I'm gonna go first, so
Okay.
tonight, or I guess this afternoon, daylight yet. We wanna talk about an important opportunity. We now have to reset our Geauga Public Health Department in a way that allows us to keep full control of our health department while providing improved services and significant cost savings to our residents of hundreds of thousands of dollars annually for now and into the future.
So first, we want to talk about why we believe this reset is critically important right now. We need to start realizing cost savings as soon as possible, and we need to provide for the longevity of our health department. In our 2023 budget, we are facing a $35,000 shortfall. The forecasts are that annual deficits are likely to increase as the cost of providing services and our staffing costs increase. In our 2024 budget, we are facing a shortfall of over $500,000. So we have a fiduciary duty to address this now. We also face a levy renewal this year, and we owe it to our residents to explore the most cost-efficient path forward that also assures we continue to provide the services our residents depend on. So it's important to emphasize that we are not broke. We maintain a healthy reserve or rainy day fund, but we can't rely on that. Our health services are paid for by three sources of revenue: money from residents through a levy, money from the permits and fees we collect, and money from grants we apply for. We must find the most fiscally responsible answer available with those funding sources.
So by way of background, a number of months ago, Carolyn and I started independently educating ourselves about our situation, the challenges we face, the opportunities we might have. We have studied our current organizational structure, the services we provide, the cost of these services, and the feasible options that are available to us immediately. We have also reached out to the Ohio Department of Health, Trumbull County Health Department, the Portage County Health District, Summit County Public Health, Ashtabula County Health Department, and Lake County General Health District. We also learned that 2012, the Association of Ohio Commissioners issued a report called Public Health Futures and described how Ohio's 125 local health districts could explore partnering across regions to enhance the quality and to assure value of health services. One important reason for us to have a partnering agreement like this is that the counties with populations of fewer than 100,000 people, which is Geauga County, are increasingly not eligible for grants that make up one of our three funding sources. The Ohio Department of Health fully supports exploring these options. For a variety of reasons, it became apparent that the local health departments we talked with were not viable options as partners. The obvious exception and potential partner for us is the Lake County General Health District.
So this afternoon, we are recommending that our board vote on a cross-jurisdictional agreement with the Lake County General Health District to serve as a staffing agency for Geauga Public Health. This agreement will meet our goal to maintain control of Geauga County health services in our county while providing significant cost savings to our residents who will really see no change in how they access these vital services. So some things to keep in mind, the Board of Health will remain in place and will continue to control our policies, our programs, and our services. We'll continue to answer to Geauga residents. Under this agreement, we estimate we will save Geauga residents between $350,000 and $600,000 a year in health services costs. Again, these are annual savings. We will continue to maintain our vehicles, our office, our website, and our identity. The bottom line, Geauga residents will continue to receive the same services and go to the same places to get those services. None of that will change. We are recommending that vital statistics to continue to be overseen by Geauga Public Health employees who have institutional knowledge and are best equipped to handle the tight controls the state places on these confidential records. As we stated earlier, one of the primary purposes for entering into this agreement is to realize significant cost savings, and contracting out vital statistics would not result in the savings needed to justify restaffing the entire department. We have a track record of success working with Lake. For the past year and a half, our health administrator, Adam Lickey, has been a contract employee from Lake, and our environmental health director, Dan Lark, has been a contract employee from Lake for over a year as well. Our WIC program, which safeguards the health of low-income women, infants, and children up to age 5, has been overseen by Lake Partners since 2016. Under this agreement, we will be able to apply for larger grants using the combined populations of our 2 counties, the accreditation of the health district by the Public Health Accreditation Board, and the preparation of the community needs assessment will be more efficient. As you may be aware, accreditation is an unfunded mandate of Ohio law. We will be able to share specialty staff, such as in the area of data analysis, accreditation, community needs assessment, emergency preparedness, finance, and grant writing. Both counties would benefit from increased coordination for emergency response and public health emergencies. So we'll have a larger pool of employees, and that will ease GPH's burden of contingency planning. Lake is ready, willing, and fully capable of serving as our staffing agency. It is clear we can be stronger together and more fiscally responsible to Geauga County residents. However, we know some of the changes this potential agreement would bring will be painful. Our Geauga Health employees will be laid off as of March 31st. If this agreement is adopted, they would be able to apply for employment with Lake to supply those staffing services, but no one's guaranteed a position. We are recommending severance and would go over these important details with each of our employees. And I know the past few months have been stressful for employees as they weren't sure what would happen here. And we have worked diligently to find the best solution, but I'm sure the employees would have preferred a quicker timeline over months of uncertainty.
A cross-jurisdictional agreement with Lake County General Health District to serve as our staffing agency is the fiscally responsible way forward. It would allow Geauga to maintain control of health services we provide our residents while saving those residents significant money over year over year. We welcome at this point our board colleagues to ask us questions, have discussion at this time, and after that we will open up to public comment.
Real quick, there was a lag in the feed. They've got it fixed, so if you're watching, the recorded version will be without the jump that happened. So just an FYI. So those are, I guess, asking.
So, board folks?
So,
Carolyn and I, yes, worked on this individually and had to come together, but all of you,
right,
so.
so can we summarize in a brief analysis what steps we took to try to keep this in Geauga County? For instance, we interviewed the administrator for the administrator position. We had obtained applications for the environmental health services manager, and we looked at our work that had to be done in order to, for instance, with credentialing, we had no specific expertise in that area, so we would need that. And we would need other services plus trying to provide the services that we were already providing, for a budget that wasn't able to support that level of service, given the constraints of what it would cost for us to do some of those things. Is that is my understanding your understanding as well?
I'm not quite sure everything you're asking there, but Ashley and I did in fact go through the process of interviewing potential candidates for the administrator position.
Right.
Okay, and at this point, I would say that we interviewed out of 20-some candidates, there were only 4.
I would say, so we had 4 that we did.
4 that we
preliminary
did.
Interviews with via Zoom.
Right.
And I would say that although they were qualified people to some degree, I'm not sure when we bring them back to the board that all of you would or would not, okay?
So the point I'm trying to make is that we didn't just willy-nilly make this determination that we should be going for staffing outside of our county. We did explore and preferentially try to find a way of keeping these services provided by our own staff and our own organization without a partner. And the other point I'd make is that even though have only been on this board for the past 6 months, every discussion that I hear is that in the past, let's say 18 months, the reports that I've received are that the health department is working at its best level than it has in several years, with a team that we have, that I didn't, but you guys brought in, with Adam and Dan in their leadership positions, working with the whole system as it was. So that was a positive thing that we would not have been able to do when we lost our health commissioner, that we, with the support of the people from Lake, we were actually able to accomplish good things.
That is a correct statement. We did go to Lake requesting assistance because we had some record in working with Lake on other projects at the time.
So I think that bodes well for the likelihood of future success if we not only take what we currently have here and build on it to make it even more robust.
I guess I would add two more things to that. The last time we looked for a health commissioner, we did not have any qualified candidates, which forced us to look for other avenues to go, which is the avenues that we are currently with, okay? And we have also, as a public health department, had the same difficulty as other health departments have, and that is in staffing.
So I would just state that I believe that this is, in my opinion, the most logical step to take, because it is financially responsible. It allows us to provide services that we are currently providing without cutting services. And if anything, we will be adding services that our collaborative agreement with Lake allows us access to that we would not be able to access on our own. I view those all as positive things.
It certainly enables us to go after more grants because we have a larger population. Clearly, as the 2012 report by the Ohio Health Commissioners, counties that have less than 100,000 population often do not have the necessary resources to be able to service as well as we need.
I think we kind of highlighted the fact that we are truly prioritizing the services that we provide and the desire to expand those services, as well as the health of our residents. But I think one question that, you know, being a resident of this county, I would have is, with this cross-jurisdictional agreement, how is it going to look differently when I walk into this department in a few weeks? Am I going to see
Excuse me, do
anybody?
we not have microphones or something? It's very hard to
Either
hear
way.
you people back here.
The county does not have this room wired for microphones, no.
Okay, thank you for that comment. I think when we talk, could we please stand up and, because we want them to hear what, I think we have some important things that we're saying.
So I'll stand up for this, okay.
So,
Stand up.
Yeah.
I'm pregnant with them.
and it
So-
doesn't hurt to holler, because I know I have trouble hearing sometimes.
Well, make
I
sure
want
you yell
everybody
into
to
it.
hear. Thank you.
So basically, the question came up from me specifically, you know, as a resident of Geauga County, and as we've emphasized that our priority is truthfully maintaining and growing the services that we have in this county, as well as putting the health of our residents at the forefront of that. But as a Geauga County resident, my concern, and the concern that I could see the public having as well, is with this cross-jurisdictional agreement, how is the department going to look different in a couple weeks when I would walk in? Am I going to see anybody here? What is that going to truly look like after we make these changes, if we so choose?
It shouldn't look any different.
Thank you.
If you're getting rid of people, how will it not look different if you don't have any staff past March 31st?
We can do public comment later.
Okay, any other comments from the board?
Well, I think the other thing, just to keep reminding people, is that this is a 5-year agreement that we have to have a 2-year notice to get out of. So if both parties don't like, we need 2 years, and we do need the time to be able to, if we wanted to do that, to pull it apart.
Well, I would also point out that it can end by mutual agreement of the parties as
Right.
well without notice.
Without notice.
But the point being made by that is that unlike our current situation where we had very little notice that Lake wanted to change or pull out of the previous agreement, and I think in the contract it was written for 30 days or 60 days, 2 years, if it came to that one of the partners wanted to leave the agreement, it would give the other side the sufficient time necessary for us to be able to adapt to that change and come up with another solution. Some of the counties that we had spoken to had expressed interest in working with us, but their timetable was that it would take at least a year for enough work to be done for them to come up with a proposal for how we could move forward. We didn't have a year. We were given a very short time frame by Lake, and we extended that time frame to the end of June. It is now the middle of March. It's the, beware the Ides of March. It's the Ides of March today. So we have relatively limited time left to consider other options if we don't do this option.
I think we should move to public comment as soon as we can, because there's a lot of.
Okay. All right.
I guess the only other thing I would just remind people is that as the 2024 budget will be presented here in a few hours, we are running over a $500,000 deficit from that. So we will be negative on that.
Okay, so regarding public comment, it is the board's opinion, we want everybody, if you want to speak, we want to give you the opportunity to speak. With that being said, we want to be orderly and, you know, what it is typically, it's 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes to speak. So what the board is going to do is to listen to everybody's comments, and we will not respond, you know, in order to expedite so that you can all have an opportunity to speak if you want to. So the 2 minute, what is going to go up there on the TV, is that right?
It is supposed to.
Maybe. do we have a list of who's speaking or no?
There's one.
Okay, so what we can do if it's acceptable,
You didn't tell us to sign up for a list.
okay, then what we could do is we could go from front row to back row, or back row to front row, whatever you guys want to do.
Fine, I'll bring this sheet up and we'll pass this other one around if anybody wants to. There's a little yes and no column all the way on the right for speaking. Or front to back. You want to pass it on?
Let's just do front to back.
Okay, let's do front to back. So the first one to my right is, I think his name is Mr. Jonathan Tyler. He's the trustee from Clarendon Township. If you want to say something.
Thank you.
Hold on, John, I'm pushing
wait
wait
a
on this, I
minute.
guess. It's
What?
The TV's not connecting.
Okay. We're having a little technical difficulty, but we'll get through it.
Yes, start?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. My question is, and I know that you may not answer, but my question is, if the board foresaw this fiscal shortfall at some point, and therefore the consequences of it, why not at least ask the residents to authorize a levy before pursuing this? Secondly, is it foreseen that there's, if this happens, is it foreseen that if there is a levy, is it gonna be a two-county levy?
Okay, thank you for that. Next would be Ms. Shelley Lewis.
Are you gonna answer the questions?
No, we are not going to answer questions till everybody speaks.
Okay.
To make sure that everybody has time to speak. We have a hard stop at 6 o'clock, so I'm sorry.
Okay. I probably will take the full 2 minutes, and please let me know if you can't hear me in the back. My name is Shelley Lewis, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Geauga. I want to wish the board happy Sunshine Week. This is a week where we draw attention to and celebrate, all the good practices in government to promote open and transparent government. And I actually, this past weekend, was writing a piece that will appear in the paper tomorrow talking about this. And I actually mentioned the Public Health Board for your policy to allow what we're doing right here, which is having a public comment opportunity, because not all of our public bodies allow this. So I appreciate the opportunity to stand up here and offer what is going to be a criticism. In 1976, I'm going to get the name of it wrong, but in response to the Watergate situation, Congress passed, what is the name of it? Something in the Sunshine Law, Government in the Sunshine Act. And that was passed in part to restore faith in government process. And the main premise of that was shining a light on government processes. And my criticism here is that while I know you all have been working diligently to come up with this agreement, that it's been negotiated by 2 people and that no updates were provided along the way. So the public has only been given very limited opportunity to comment. I have 10 seconds. I would ask that you move your vote to your next regular meeting and offer the public more time to scrutinize this agreement and to make your vote during your next regular meeting. So, yes.
So I think we're going to skip our gracious attorney. He already had 2 minutes. So next, sir, do you want to speak?
Yeah, I'm Jim Mueller. I'm one of the trustees of Russell, former county commissioner, former state representative. I'm very concerned about this because, number one, we have, by everybody's accounting, one of the best health situations in the entire state of Ohio. We were rated number 1 by a couple of groups. So how do you end something that has worked very well? Secondly, you may not know this, but Geauga County is usually the first or second wealthiest county in Ohio. How the hell do you give up having a health district for money because the people in this county will in fact support that? I mean, we're wealthy enough to be able to afford this. And we should have our own health district. I think it's sad that a county like ours has to find ourselves in a situation where we have to crawl on our hands and knees to Lake County. And that's what I view it as. I'm absolutely convinced that with a little different kind of approach on this, we would be fine. And I think more effort should be made to try and keep it right here as it always has been. And it's a first-class program. Nobody can say it isn't, because that's the way it is, and I think the county can afford it, and I think we should not pass this.
Thank you. Next, okay, the second row, madam.
Yes.
State your name and where you're from, please.
My name is Bernadette Leah, and I live in Monson Township.
Thank you.
Okay. First of all, I have spoken with a few of the Lake County residents stating that they're not pleased with their own health district. With Lake County being the smallest county in Ohio, how are they going to manage more than double the capacity by incorporating Geauga County into their administration? Also, what's in it for Lake County? What are we giving them? And why they're not doing this out of the goodness of their heart? That's it.
Okay, next, sir. Name and,
Frank Leah, Munson Township. Going back to Ashley's comment, when she walks into the health department, will she be able to recognize anybody there, or will there be nobody there since you're letting them all go by March 31st? I see a problem there where we're not going to be able to have that same friendly conversations we have with the health department because they're gone. How do you handle the septic systems going forward? We're a rural community. Lake is not. It's going to be very difficult, and it's not going to be very transparent. And I agree with Jim. The health department's been running very well for many, many years. Why don't we put this up to a vote for the Geauga County residents and see what they can say about whether or not to do this or not?
okay, next, Mr. McMillan.
Jim McNeil, Troy Township. I just have a question on the personal complaint process. It appears to me that if we have any employees here or no employees here, it looks like a mandate for union membership to me. Can you tell me if that's mandated, and if the person does not want to be part of that union process, do they have the liberty to do that?
Thank you. Next. Would you like to say anything? Oh, you're all news, okay. I'm sorry, so let's go to the next row. Nothing? Mr. Jim?
I'll come back.
Okay. Mike, I know you want to say something. Mike Brown, the trustee from Chardon Township.
Mike Brown, Chardon Township, also Secretary of the Health District Advisory Council. I was a little bit surprised to see this special meeting being announced during the day when most people can't come, with the plan on not only introducing this agreement, but potentially signing it. You really, I don't understand how you think that that would pass the smell test for anybody in Geauga County. Geauga County citizens respect their sovereignty. They know that they're from Geauga County. We don't really have a whole lot in common with Lake County. We're totally different. The icing on the cake is you're going to get rid of all of the employees, and you speak about it as if it's already happened. This item is listed in the old business on your agenda. Was it ever in new business? Was it discussed in public meetings? This just doesn't pass the smell test for me. I don't see why. I agree wholeheartedly with the gentleman up front. We are Geauga County. We should have our own health department. You should put it up, I mean, you haven't even come to the townships and asked about a subdivision assessment. I mean, try a levy, go to the townships. There's other options before, you're going right to the death punch, as far as I'm concerned. I just don't like it.
Next, Mr. Alusha.
Chris Alusha for Pula Village. Nobody doubts the amount of work that went into this agreement, but this agreement is Lynn and Carolyn's vision for Geauga Public Health. There was no public input or opportunity for such. We wanted to keep Adam and Dan, and you guys did that, I'll grant you. But you did a whole bunch of other stuff that can only be deemed questionable, and the consequences, good or bad, will not be known for some time. Transparency was vocally demanded of this board by residents of all backgrounds and perspectives. However, until presenting a draft yesterday and adopting this contract or potentially today, the only updates given at meetings was that discussions were ongoing and there was nothing to report at this time. Whether this agreement turns out to be to the great benefit of the people of Geauga County remains to be seen. And I do believe there are a couple of good aspects to this agreement, but that does not and will not negate the unacceptable lack of transparency by the board in this matter, and the lack of self-awareness when confronted with why you all went about this contrary to the express will of the public. I suggested forming a committee of community stakeholders to allow input while still having the board retain full control of any final agreement. I saw this reaction from the public coming. For some reason, you guys did not, and that troubles me.
Okay, thank you. Next. Sir? Okay, next row.
I'm gonna come up this way.
Okay.
I have some questions. Chris just did what he said.
Could you say your name? For
Oh,
the audience,
Vicki
please?
List, you already know me.
Yes.
Vicki List. Do you foresee coming back to operating independently once we're stable? In other words, once O&M is up and we're bringing in money? Number two, what has changed with the administration and EH from the last contract? I'd like to know what the difference is. Are all positions 50-50 with Lake? If not, what's the percentage? Number four, Ron Graham, I want to know what he pushed for. Number five, during COVID, we had a mask mandate that was very different than Lake County, and I want to know if we're going to keep our independence and things like that. Number six, 5-year agreement, 2 years to terminate, and you said that if both parties agree, you could immediately terminate? Is that correct?
No.
Okay, I wasn't clear on that, so I'd like to be clear on it. And number seven, define who is in these current position. I don't know who the nursing manager is. I don't know the difference between that and the medical director in epidemiology. So if you could explain that, and if you want my questions, they're here. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki. Okay, next one after Ms. List.
Yeah, I appreciate all these questions being asked, and I look forward to hearing the answers. I agree with Mike Brown from Chardon that it would have been nice for the townships to have some input going into
Your
this
name, please,
decision.
sir.
I'm PJ Kavanaugh, Auburn Township trustee. Also, I've been around long enough to remember when townships were assessed, it wasn't anything we agreed to. We were just simply assessed for the cost of running the health department. In this agreement, who will make that decision should there be another money shortfall in the near future? I just look forward to answers. Thanks.
Okay, next, so PJ's left, right, left?
Mary Griggs, Geauga resident. I would like to know from the board who wrote this cross-jurisdictional cooperative agreement. How did the board come to consensus on its language? Was it part of your multiple 2-hour executive sessions? And if so, what authority in your motion to enter into executive session applied? Why have you chosen not to have the public forums that I recommended on more than one occasion to share this information with Geauga County? You have a contract for services until June 30th with Lake County. Why is this a rush? Has it been submitted to the Geauga County Prosecutor's Office, and have they signed off on it? And I believe the O&M program that was tabled by the board in 2021, if it was fully instituted, it would bring in $700,000 a year for the EH department. I support a health department in Geauga County with our current employees and expanding. Thank you.
Oh, next row. So the next row?
Yes, I'm Walt Lorenz. I sent a letter to you guys to the board. I guess my letter will be returned with an answer when the prosecutor gets done with the house sales. I just want to make sure that you got the letter. I'm sure. Thank you.
Walt Lorenz is your name, sir?
L-R-E-N-Z,
Where do you live?
in Geauga County.
I mean, did you put a return address on it or
Geauga
no?
Township, yes, I did. I sent one to the state also.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next. Are we through with that row? Okay.
I actually have a question, if I'm considered in this row.
Can you say your name and where you're from, please?
Joelle Weiss, I work for Geauga Public Health.
Okay.
I'm the county registrar. So my question is, in no disrespect to Lake County, and the work that they've done, if we are to give up control or to go into a contractual agreement, and say this contract doesn't work, who's left on the inside of GPH if things go bad? Who's actually fighting for that in the end to help the Geauga County residents? Who's pulling for them? If it's Lake County people that are actually here running it.
Okay, next row. Okay, how about behind, in the next row?
Sure, I'll speak. Couple things, I'm in agreement with a lot of people.
Name?
Donna Vaccarello, Geauga Township resident. I feel like this has been kind of done sneakily so that the public wasn't aware. I mean, in December, you were extending a contract, and now all of a sudden, you're selling us out to Lake County, and no public input. I'm sure that you put a lot of work into this agreement, but no public input at all. And with whoever said that having a meeting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when nobody can get here, why do you have your board meetings at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when 95% of the public isn't available? I think it's a big mistake to rush this through, and I think that the county ought to be given more time and more input before anything is signed. Thank you.
Okay, next person. Somebody wants to say something, now's your time.
My name is Jacob Sutter. I live in Munson Township. My concern is kind of what's falling through the cracks as we've been working with Lake County. Let me give you an example. On the back of my property is a 20-acre horse farm, multiple barns, riding stable, 2 residences, wash stalls. Under the previous administration, when the house sold, they would have had to go through the Forest Hills property inspection. It would have failed because these houses have 1 tank and a line that goes to my creek. Wash stalls just go to the creek. They were actually issued a permit this week to replace the septic on just the house. Wash stalls still go in the creek. The other house that has residents is still going in the creek, runs right along my driveway. Onto the for sale property inspection, I would have gotten the septic system, I had everything tied in, discharged accordingly. And I think that program actually brought in more money than these deficits that you're talking about. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, next. Anybody else in the back before Mr. McCaskey?
Rich, I just kind of want to reiterate, Jim McCaskey was a township trustee, and I think Shelley said it first, I think this was rushed, and I'm not against the shared services. I've talked to Mike, if he's got a grade hall and I got a chipper, or something that we could trade, or we could value engineer our trade services, I'm all for that. I agree with everybody else, I feel totally rushed. I think it was Jim mentioned about if we did put a levy on this for $500,000. If we had $500,000 that we're gonna come up short, and it was 16 townships, that's 30 grand apiece. Would I like to get that bill? No. Or would I be willing to pay it to keep our personal identity? Yes. I'd find $30,000 somewhere from Munson Township. So I feel terrible for the employees. I mean, at March 31st, that's 16 days away, I think that's poor business. I wouldn't do that to my employees. I've had employees give me a year's notice. People that have left me have come back to, everybody knows we have a pig roast every year, and my employees come back that have left and quit me, that have come back. I think that is a total disservice to our employees to give them a 16-day notice that they gotta reapply for a job that some of them have had for I don't know how many years. So I feel it's very rushed. I agree with Shelley, you should table this and vote on it next month.
Everybody had a chance? Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Golly Rios, health educator, charting. So, imagine how you guys feel not knowing this was coming. Imagine being an employee, that you have done nothing but try to look good in the community. After COVID, everybody hated us. I run the Safe Communities grant. If you look at that draft, that grant is not even in there. I don't know if it's gonna be or not. I don't know if I'm gonna have a job or not, so I mean, whatever at this point, right? 31st. But imagine not knowing where you're going since November. Like, how do you move forward? How do you plan for your activities, your community events? Nothing. When was the last time you guys checked on your employees? When was the last time you guys gave us an update? Not you guys necessarily, our leadership. When was the last time we went to our directors? What's going on? Hey, should I move forward with this community event? I don't know. Should you? We don't know. Like, I have tons of events that I'm supposed to attend this summer. It is not GPH, it's gonna be, oh, Magali can't make it. Is Magali gonna have a job? I don't know, am I? But like, you guys should just prep us for this. We know there's no going back. So maybe check on the employees that have been killing themselves for this place. We have done so much for this place because we wanted to serve the residents of Geauga County. We have people that moved back to this county to work for the county. We're gonna serve our county and we will continue to do our jobs if we have a job actually. We will continue to do our jobs like we have been doing it, but that's it. Thank you. I'm gonna
I'm the Director of Nursing and Population Health here. I've been in Geauga County almost 4 years. I will go on the record that I turned in my resignation Friday because I was informed by the Health Commissioner of Lake County that I will not have a position. If I do, it will be at a severely decreased rate and potentially part-time. They do not need a do in here. They do not need, there's a lot of my team sitting back there. Magali Rios is one of them. There are a lot of information in this contract. There's grants, there's Ohio Buckeyes Buckles that's not listed. There's safe communities that are not listed. How are they saying the services are gonna stay the same? If you look at the contract and the breakdown for each and every position that they have, they're gonna contract BON, they're gonna contract admin. We have an administrative director here that's been here 28 years, a little over, is eligible to retire. She's gonna be forced out, there's no job for her, none. She can retire in less than 2 years. There hasn't been any communication. I have supported this board. I had complete faith in them, complete faith that this was gonna be done the right way. This could have been a great thing, and still can be if it's done the right thing. But Joel, you're right, there will be no GPH director left in there. It will all be Lake County. So you're right, if this goes south and does not go well, it is going to fall on who? Who's gonna be left to figure it out? Who's gonna know the inner workings? Now, I did turn in my resignation, like I said, because I felt I was forced to. This is my livelihood. I have not known, I am part of leadership here, and every explanation that I get is, I don't know. I'm staying out of it. I don't know anything about it. Zero comment. I have a team. I've assembled a great team. I got this county, my team, through COVID. Regardless if you took the vaccine or not.
I gotta cut you off, Carol.
Okay, anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Alva Wendell. I am the former Director of Administration. I have worked for Geauga Public Health for 28 years. I have 2.5 years left till retirement. Imagine hearing yesterday that I was not going to have a job. 2.5 years from retirement. I have seen this place through good, through bad, through horrible, and I have stuck with it. This is the worst this place has ever been. Morale is down. You don't know whether you should come or go. You're being watched like you're some sort of a criminal. You do one thing wrong and you're written up for it. This is not a good environment for these employees. And changing it over to Lake County is only going to make it worse. That's what I have to say. I really enjoyed my time here, and I'm really sorry to have to go.
Okay.
I'm Catherine Whitwright, and I wonder, I'm just amazed that nobody knew. And I would think as the board, did you realize people didn't have any idea and you're gonna have them lose their job on March 31st? I'm really proud of the county. I've been in this county and I worked with the Board of Elections for 27.5 years. And we were considered the best everywhere. Every department was considered the best. Now all of a sudden, we can't even pay our bills and we don't do what's available like the trustees. I hope you guys really think about what you're doing. It's very discouraging.
Well, we're going to have to let everybody else speak, and then you can speak after everybody else has an opportunity. So, yes, ma'am.
Sure. My name is Sarah Sullivan. I'm the epidemiologist for Geauga Public Health. The only thing I want to note is today we learned that the 31st is cutoff during this week. So we did not get to know that beforehand. We saw the contract yesterday, just like everybody else. So we're just waiting for the cutoff. Thank you.
Okay. One more?
Hi.
I'll make a motion to replace all of them.
I'm Sanitarian here. Raised in Geauga County, graduated from Georgia High School. I left to go to Western Ohio to get my education and work at 2 different health departments. I saw a job opening in Geauga last year, and I loved Geauga County, so I moved back, and it's just really exciting to hear that we're now losing our jobs.
Lake County. I love Geauga County. I live in Geauga County. I want to work for Geauga County.
Okay, everybody had a chance to speak?
I have one more question. Christo, I'm a clerical specialist here, and I also live in Munson. So when you lay us all off on the 31st, are you gonna lay us all off, there's not gonna be anybody here to serve the public? How is that going to work? Or are we gonna find this out on the 31st?
I'm not answering any questions, so you wouldn't know.
But it would be nice to let your employees know. We have families. Some people have, only this place has their insurance, and I know that this was thought of ahead of time because somebody was asked about what our insurance cutoff was. So you gotta remember, it was asked prior to know it, so you knew ahead of time. We
Okay.
deserve respect, just like you all want respect from everybody else. We deserve that. We are your employees. We are here, the ones running the place for the people of this county. I'm the one that gets yelled at when the inspectors come in, not you. I get yelled at. An apology would be nice.
No, we should not let up the second round, because I think we're gonna run out of.
Okay, all right, so, does anyone want to comment about anything of what was stated?
How about some answers?
How about some what?
Answers.
Answers?
Yeah, I mean, there was a question about why didn't you put a levy on the upcoming ballot, or why didn't you assess the townships? To that, I would say, because it was not necessary. We have an opportunity to save money without cutting services. It would be breaking our fiduciary duty not to pursue that. And I'm personally not interested in just propping up unneeded bureaucracy.
Still would like to.
We're going to go ahead and answer the rest of these questions.
Yeah, I think there were questions about the timing, and certainly for us on the board, we've been talking about this since November, so I understand it may be new to some people in the room, but we've been having board meetings with public comment since November, sometimes at least monthly, sometimes weekly. It's been front page on the Maple Leaf, it's been front page of the Sugar and Valley Times, so we've had extensive discussion already. And certainly for the employees, I think this timeline is probably too long, not too short.
Let's get some self-awareness.
Yeah.
So, what I would like to say, I know Mr. Brown asked about a two-county levy. I think that everybody has a misunderstanding. We are not ceding or merging or combining with Lake County. I don't know if anybody read the contract, but I can tell you that I counted at least, I believe, 10 times. It clearly states in there, Geauga Public Health makes the decisions. This board does not plan on dissolving, okay? I guess what you could do is we could look at Lake County as they're offering us contract services for employees. And I can tell you that currently with Adam Litchie and the other environmental health director, I've gotten plenty of calls from elected officials that have stated that this department has never been as good as it is with these two at the helm. And they wanted, and maybe some of the staff may not like that, and that's okay, but that staff, some of them have been there a long time, okay? But we are dedicated as a board to move this county, to move this department forward. We want to be the best we can be. We want to be fiscally responsible. Okay, and we're not going broke. Some people say, "Oh, you're going broke." We're not going broke. We have seen the writing on the wall of where the excessive costs are, and in a few years, I mean, we could survive a few years. Sure, we have money in reserve. We're trying to be proactive and to stop the bleeding. But like I said, I'm a Geauga, I've probably been in Geauga County more than most. I've been here since I think I was 4. okay? So the last thing I want to do is see Geauga County merge or consolidate with somebody else. That is not going to happen. And another thing I'd like to point out to Mr. Brown, you guys, don't we have a chip and seal in Chardon Township? Is that right, a machine or something? Or do we share a machine with Concord Township? So what I'm saying is,
Are you correlating a piece of equipment with the human capital that we've built up over 150 years? Come on, Rich.
but the district is still gonna remain the district, okay? Some of the personnel, may change,
A district with no
but,
employees?
pardon me?
A district with no employees?
Okay, well, that's something else that maybe it wasn't made clear, okay? Once this gets implemented, the plan is for those employees to apply at Lake, and hopefully some of them will get hired, and we are gonna staff this department, okay? But we can't guarantee that all of them are gonna get hired. Okay?
Can I make a comment?
There was also a question about what does Lake County get from this? Lake County is simply being the supplier of employees for us. They get nothing. They're not getting any extra money. They're being reimbursed based on the salary and the healthcare costs that go with all that. They are totally being reimbursed. They get nothing else. If people think they're getting something else, fine. There was also a comment that Lake County is smaller than us. I don't know what that is based on. But we have the smallest county in the land size. Well, public health is based on population, not land size. In population, we are less than 100,000 here. If you look at the report that was put out by the health commissioners in 2012, there are many small counties, lower population, that are having very difficult times in trying to make ends meet, for lack of a better word.
And I would like to say, okay, it is not this board's intention to lay off workers and have people lose their jobs. I feel terrible for them, I do. But we have to, as a board, we have to be responsible and look what's the best thing for the 95,000 residents in this county, what's the best thing for this department. The best thing for this department, it's not like we're dissolving the department, we are not. And we will be in as much control as we can, so that the contract was put together so that when I'm gone and other people are gone and there's new people here, that the contract will still work for them. We still are in control, and regarding, I know people are offended with Lake, but how many of you know that Lake County actually does contract out for services with other counties? Does anybody realize that? Anybody know that? So, that's what we're doing, and I mean, to sit here and listen when you haven't been told. I mean, we've had meetings since we got notice of the contract termination in November. We're very transparent with our meetings. You can come, you can talk. I think one in the audience has probably talked at every meeting we had. So we're not trying to hide anything. But we are conscious that, this has to move forward. We don't, we can't wait. And somebody said, well, you got till June. But like Dr. Root says, June is less than 3 months away.
You said yourself you have a whole year's worth of salary.
No. Point of order.
I'm allowed to speak.
No public comment.
No.
Public comment period has ended.
Oh, my God.
You guys really should think about
What'd you say?
the way you're handling this public meeting. If I did this in my township, I'd be out in the weeds.
There's a First Amendment issue if we restrict some people's speech and not others. So everyone is given 2 minutes to make their comment, and then we have to cut it off.
Well, we're responding to what he's saying.
Well, I let you all speak, now you should let us respond. Okay? I think you're being disrespectful, frankly. But, I mean, So does someone else want to say anything?
Should we start responding to some of the?
Yes.
Questions?
Yes, thank you.
Lynn, you handled the what's in it for Lake County questions that came up. Regarding the question about executive session, we're only allowed to go into executive session to discuss human resource issues.
We know.
We did not discuss structure of this agreement. Carolyn and I are presenting the structure of this agreement now to our board members. Yes, there are implications for employees, and what people need to know is that employees will get, they get till March 31st, they get 2 weeks severance, and they get their paid vacation time.
You do something of this magnitude with discussing this.
County prosecutor's office, sign off on it?
Yes, the county prosecutor signed off on it. Is that correct, Mr. Mr.?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mayor, you also asked about who wrote the agreement. It was on our paper, but Lake obviously negotiated it as well.
So was Brian part of the author, or was you, Ms. Brady, or along with Graham, or?
It was, Mr. Castor was the original author. He worked with our prosecutor and then negotiated with Lake's prosecutor. Is that correct?
That's accurate. Who does the work?
Your workload's not going down, your workforce is.
Lake County will be the supplier of staff.
Are they gonna be here full-time or part-time?
Yes.
So if you've already told the employees that March 31st is their last day, then why are you even going through this charade?
We're not telling the employees that. We're saying if we implement the contract as
The
it is
employees
currently
have said they've been
written.
told.
Well, we found out right now.
Today.
Yeah, we found that.
They read the draft agreement. They're basing their comments on the draft agreement. But the contract has not been executed. It has not been voted on. It has not been executed.
Is there any reason why this can't be put off for a month to get a little more public input?
We've been having public input since
This is public input.
How can you have public input without looking at the agreement?
That's right, this is the first time we've seen it.
To be honest, I have not seen the agreement until it was published yesterday.
And you think that's a good way to do business? Well, are you listening to what you're saying?
That's because.
I just thought right now, let's vote.
Carolyn, I
You
just.
kidding me?
I've attended the meetings and I never heard in public, in open meeting where it was instructed that Brian go forth and work with Lake County to devise this contract. Was this mentioned in a public meeting? Because I have attended and I don't recall.
Should we go through the questions that were asked previously and try to knock some of those out?
Thank you.
Jim, did you want to make a comment?
Yes. I just want you
Has
to,
already been asked, please?
I just want you to know that Russell Township is in good financial shape. If you came for us, somebody said $30,000. If it's 60, not a problem. We will take care of our portion of that, and I'm pretty sure that most of the other trustees, if given the chance and the choice between losing the health department and stepping up, at least on a short-term basis, until we can do something else, they would do that. I will do it, I pledge it, Geauga County, I should say Russell, we're in. We're in to soak up much of that $600,000 or $700,000 shortfall that you believe that that's gonna cause.
You know, I have a question. So do you speak for the board, the trustees? The other trustees?
I can't do that, but
Okay.
I assure you that I can get that through.
Okay.
I would like to say that
Apparently,
Clarendon Township
anybody
is
can
not
just
good
speak out when they
financial
want to. I'm Joyce Peters, I'm from Parkland Township, I'm a trustee. I have seen firsthand what happens when you work with another organization, in particular Lake County, as a school employee. I saw this. We combined our educational service centers. Guess what? Guess who got all the attention and the money? Lake County, not Geauga County Schools. Ask Berkshire bus drivers how they feel about contracting. They were promised they could get jobs. They were promised they could keep their benefits. They got the jobs at way lower salaries. They had their benefits for, I can't name the months, it's 6, 8, 12. All of a sudden, they lost their benefits. So they can make promises. They can tell you they will hire these people. They can tell you they will pay them, but they're not gonna pay them what they're making now.
I think we need to maintain order here, Mr. President.
Okay.
And can we go through some of the questions that were asked previously and try to address those questions?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Leha, I feel like you and I are having a now discussion about the day-to-day here. So when I asked this question of, what does it look like when people come here on a day-to-day basis? And I think the confusion is coming from the fact that we're just wiping everybody out of the department, that nobody will be here. But essentially what we are doing is the board maintains control. You will see people when you walk in with the GPH logo shirt on. You will have Geauga inspectors, contracted employees from Lake, but they will be designated Geauga inspectors performing. You will have Geauga people here doing permits. So we essentially have contracted employees here. So there's somebody here day to day. It's not like you would have to go to Lake for any of these additional services. You would not have to deter from the day to day, nor that you're used to when coming and interacting with this department.
I'll also address, I think it was Vicky's question about, do we foresee coming back to the former state being our own independent? That may be something that we do, okay? But we have suggested, and we're recommending, I should say not suggesting, but recommending a 5-year agreement that has a mutual out, and there is 2 years to have to transition.
Excuse me, when you say mutual out, what does that mean?
We got to keep on, I think we need to keep answering questions that were
Will
already
we
asked.
still have a health commissioner here?
We don't have a health commissioner now, really. We have a very part-time health commissioner
Correct.
currently.
For your direction, but will we still have a very part-time health commissioner?
As I stated earlier, the last time we needed to look for a health commissioner, there were no qualified candidates. This time, we have 20-some applicants, okay? We only interviewed 4 people, and I would say, we have not put them in front of the board here, but Ashley and I, who interviewed them, they're not as skilled as some of the people we have that have been doing work for us right now. It's very hard and it's very expensive to try to keep recruiting health commissioners. We've been through 2 health commissioners, one before I even existed on the board and one since I've been on the board.
Has anybody asked the staff?
Okay, so let's continue answering the questions that were already asked.
I'm down with O&M, is that what you're at?
So there, Mrs. Briggs had asked a question about O&M,
Yes.
bringing in $700,000, and essentially why isn't that being implemented? Now, does anyone want to address that, or I can if not?
I guess, and that is a very good question that Mrs. Briggs asked, is why isn't O&M implemented? O&M is a very, I guess, tedious system. Once O&M is implemented, she is correct. We should realize probably $600,000 to $700,000 income. But with O&M, we cannot we cannot operate O&M with the staff we have. We need to have more sanitarians, and we do plan to do that. And O&M, by the way, is mandated by the ORC, so that, you know, it's not, we're not gonna not do that.
Yeah, and the Environmental Health Department has been dealing with a 3-year backlog as a result of FSOP that they're trying to get caught up on. So creating a new program, a new backlog, merely to generate revenue would be raising the same wrong that FSOP elimination addressed.
Okay, next one.
There was a comment about,
County registrar.
go ahead.
So, I think there was a question about the county registrar. We will continue to have the county registrar here, the deputy registrar here. When you want to go get a birth certificate or death certificate, you come to this building in Geauga County. You don't go to Painville or whatever, you know, or wherever Lake County General Health District is. The same thing, actually, I might add, for all other permits, this building will, this is where the contracted employees will be housed out of. You should not notice any difference in service. Okay.
So you think they're all gonna take the deal, huh?
What's the next thing?
There was a comment made about us being extremely healthy and wealthy county, which is absolutely true. We are a very well, right? We, you know, it's sort of a double-edged sword when you say things like that we're healthy and wealthy county, because when that's the case, it does make it more difficult to access certain grants. One benefit of a cross-jurisdictional agreement with another county is it does provide increased access to certain programs that we wouldn't have independently. So that is one benefit. So I just wanted to clarify that it is not a disadvantage to be healthy and wealthy, but it does impact certain things.
And I would also add that health is true that the population here is generally healthy, but a lot of the work that is done in the public health district has to do with environmental health, which doesn't necessarily relate to the same individual personal health, and that's probably 75% of the activity that this district does.
Okay.
Has anyone asked the employees how it's working with Adam and Dan being here?
Does Ms. Christine have any comments?
Do you want to ask this?
Shelley, can you hear what's being discussed right now?
You guys speak louder so the public can hear you.
Actually, I can't hear, it's, you can't whisper during.
Yeah, this is a public meeting, so can we hear your comments? Thank you.
So, we are just discussing whether we are going to vote or not vote. We're talking about possibly delaying the vote. Frankly, I don't see the benefit of that. You know, I don't know if it's gonna be, I don't think it would be helpful to delay the vote. And in fairness to the staff, I think it's best to, if we're gonna go down this path, to expedite it and move forward. And, you know, that's just my feeling from the board, but I'm only one person.
Don't be surprised if you're in court.
Now, anybody else have a comment they'd like to make? Any more discussion about this?
I think if we table it, we just push the decisions further down.
I do too. If we table it, we just push the decision down the road. And this is I mean, believe me, this is not an easy decision, but the board, I think, is confident that this is the right decision to make. We cannot keep going on the way it has. So, with that in mind.
How we make up the shortfall of $500,000 becomes a very big question. Very, very big question.
Take it to H-Town.
Townships and they will provide.
And yes, I'd like to hear all the townships say that they're willing to write that check for us.
We just need to have a
I'd
meeting.
like to hear the voters also say they'd like to pass a higher levy.
Probably ask.
That would
Should
be
have
great.
asked.
That would be great. Okay, so do we have a,
3709.28.
so can we call for a motion? Do we have a motion to,
I move to enter into a cross-jurisdictional cooperative agreement pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 3709.08 with the Lake County General Health District for the administration and operation of Geauga County's public health service as identified in the public meeting as a cross-jurisdictional cooperative agreement.
This is outrageous.
so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
It's
Okay.
outrageous.
So this would be a roll call vote. Dr. Rude?
Yes.
Mrs. Brackey?
Yes.
Mrs. Roman?
Yes.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Perino? Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you. At this time, we're going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for coming.
I have nothing.